You're not really a director until you are standing on set. You've got 5 shots left to get. The sun is going down and you're only going to get 3.
Brad, how many times do you read a screenplay before day one of filming?
Probably read it in its entirety at least twice. But then, like, I'll read the individual scenes as the director and I are planning them, like, I don't read the script front to back, but I will revisit those scenes. Like, how are we going to light this when we're scouting, when I'm ordering equipment? I go back through and I'm like, who's doing what? Somebody standing by the window, somebody picking something up. It's day, it's night. So 2 complete passes at least, and then an indeterminate number of revisiting various scenes.
Is it important for a cinematographer to understand story structure?
I'll answer that with an analogy. It's important for a cinematographer to understand story structure in the same way that it is important for a person driving a car to understand how to read a map. Because no matter how well you do it, if you don't know what your ultimate destination is, and you don't know the path you're going to take to get there, you are going to have problems and you are not going to do your best job. You are not going to be able to plan well. In the case of the cinematographer, you are not going to be able to allocate your resources of budget, crew, and equipment, much the same way that the guy driving the car is not going to be able to know how much gas to buy and how often to stop for it and where those gas stations are, and is going to end up calling AAA. So there's no AAA in film, by the way, kids. So you really do have to understand it. And also editing. Cinematographers need to understand editing. You need to understand how those shots you make are going to be used, how they relate to one another. And the practical aspects of that are as follows. I would lean on a quote. There's this great quote by David Fincher that says, "You're not really a director until you are standing on set. You've got 5 shots left to get. The sun is going down and you're only going to get 3. So you have to decide, which 3 are those going to be. And that's the same with the cinematographer. And if you understand story structure, if you understand editing, in your mind, you'd be like, I need that, I don't need that. That would be a luxury, but those I have to have because otherwise I can't tell it. Or maybe, I can do it in a oneer. Let's just do it in a oneer. If you understand those things, it gives you that facility. And conversely, as you're shooting the scene, you may think, you know what? The director didn't ask for it, but we need a cutaway. He may want a moment. It's like, all I've got are these 2 singles. Like what if he wants a moment of where he wants to cut? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a shot of her picking up the glass and him taking a bite of his food and the waiter just coming out and asking them if they need anything, whatever. I mean, when I do multi-camera shoots, I always tell my additional camera people that if there's ever a scene where you don't have a shot, find B-roll, find a cutaway, shoot, never not be shooting. Always shoot me something, get me details. And so many times those details get got and I see them in the cut, And when we did Doolittle's Heroes, I was so proud of my team because we did this scene in an officers club. And we did some scenes with the cast, and we had this beautiful steady cam coming out of the actress's face. But we ran out of time at the end of the day. Now, we got all of our shots, but we kind of had wanted to go get some shots of the band just because I was like, I think we're going to need some B-roll. Well, I look down there, and there's my crew shooting that shit without me even telling them. I'm like, all right, I trained you guys well. They went down there, and while we were all breaking down, the musicians are up there doing their thing, and guess what? Those shots are in the cut. So yeah, it's the more the better you'll do. Even if sometimes things don't necessarily seem obvious. It's being informed is important. Again, just like the person driving cross country. I mean, it might be weird to think that they should know where all the Walmarts are, but what if they get somewhere and I'm like, damn, I need some wet wipes, And I'm not saying you should do all the things, but preparation. I was a Boy Scout. Be prepared.
Do you take any notes or storyboard when you go through the script?
Yes. I used to do it a lot when we had paper scripts, but now so many of my scripts are digital. But I'll do like a notebook, or I'll have like just a note, like a Word document or even an email on my computer. More often than not, it's an email, and I'll save it into drafts because if it's a Word document, it's on my computer. But if it's a draft email, if I'm on my phone or wherever, I can pull it up and be like, oh yeah, there it is. There's probably a better way to do that, but that's what I've been doing. And I typically only draw stuff if I want to use it to illustrate something to another person. I mean, I occasionally will do it for myself, but I have a pretty good visual memory in that respect. So if I see it, I'm likely going to remember it, or I could even just give myself a little note and then pull the visual out of my memory.
Do you come up with a shot list, or do you leave that to the director?
That can go both ways. I mean, I feel personally that that's the prerogative of the director. I've had directors ask me to do it, and I've done it. If somebody were to come to me and say, what would be your preference? My preference would be for the director to do a draft and then let me have a crack at offering suggestions, and make it a true collaboration. And the reason I would have them go first is because, again, I want to defer to them as the director and at least start with the seed of their vision rather than telling them what they should do. But once I kind of get into their head and I see where they're going, I can give them, well, how about this? How about that? This complements those ideas. That's an interesting idea, but instead of that, what if you did this? And I can use their stuff as jumping off points. I've worked with directors before who just don't give me a lot to hang stuff on. And it really is challenging because I want to be deferential, but if you don't give me anything, then basically I'm going to be directing everything but the performances. If you tell me to do the shot list and you don't engage with me about it, I mean, at least, talk to me about what I come up with and let's beat it into shape. Then okay. And different people work different ways, and that's fine. I've worked with people who were very controlling and they wanted to exert influence over every aspect. And I've worked with people where I felt like literally I was doing their job and they were just being paid to watch the monitor. And then everything in between. And again, my favorite is some form of collaboration, whether they originated or I originated. I want that interaction where we're building it together. I like that.
How much do you plan out the day before you shoot?
100%. I, when I scout, I figure out, ideally, I have my gaffer and key grip with me. But even if I don't, I figure out where I'm going to put the lights, what those lights are going to be. I have a sense of what the power is going to be. I have a sense of how we're going to move from one scene to another scene. And often, as a result, I will talk to the AD and I'll say, that's a really big scene and this is a really big scene. Can we take this little small scene and stick it in the middle so that I have something quick to go to and then the people could spend a little more time on this? I'm very conscientious of the pace of the day. I don't want to go from something big to something big because, that's a lot of crap to move and build up and break down adjacent. And if it's necessary, if it has to be because of the actor availability, then I'll build that into my plan for the day. I'll be like, okay, we'll just take a bullet on that. We're going to have to pull up time somewhere else, or we'll have to light more simply. Whatever that solution is, at the end of the day, you have to make your days. I know a lot of people do these crazy 24-hour days, and I've done them before, but not often and not recently. More often than not, the jobs I'm on now are just, they want hard outs at 12 hours. And I'm okay with that because, yeah, I don't want to, beat the crew to death, and I don't want to be super tired. So it's kind of incumbent on us, to make our days and to plan correctly. And also, again, when I'm evaluating the project initially, I want to know, do they have enough days to do what they say they want to do? Do they have enough crew? If all of that stuff lines up, then I can expect, that a 6-page day is going to look like what I expect a 6-page day to look like, and I'll manage it accordingly. And if we fall behind in the day, I'll make adjustments to pick up the pace. Rarely we may have to push a scene to another day, spin it off to a second unit. Sometimes we actually get ahead and we're like, let's pull a scene from tomorrow. Let's get ahead. I always like to say that Murphy's on the call sheet, whether you put him there or not. Shit's going to happen. I mean, you just have to account for that. You can't say this is going to be a perfect day and nothing's going to happen. You have to know stuff's going to happen, and you have to have your backup plans where you're like, if I have to simplify, what will I do? And have some sense of what that is. You have to know where you're going to want your crew to be at any given time. And I'm telling them, I need you to move that light over there. It doesn't play now, and it doesn't play in the next scene, but the scene after that, I'm going to want it, and I don't want to wait for it. So get it over there and run the power, and then we'll go inside and we'll turn the light on. It's all of that stuff. It's just having that holistic sense of the day, of how long it takes to get things done, and to just make sure that nobody is ever waiting on you.